All right. All right. Let me take these earbuds out so I don't end up speech jamming myself. Got chat open. Got the stream on. We have one viewer, which is just me. Um, so yeah. All right, let's just get going with it. Hello everybody and welcome. I'm going to take a drink of water actually first. I'm a little thirsty. All right. Let's try that again. Welcome everybody to Horsehead Weekly, week number pre-draft. I don't really know what to call it. Week -1, and then next week will be week 0 because it'll be the draft show. I'm gonna take a week off between then because I'm gonna be in New York City for the week of Labor Day, but then I'm gonna be back. I'm gonna be here again every Tuesday until the end of the season, hopefully, barring any kind of insanity or any kind of weirdness happening in my life. So, but that's all future Mark's problem to worry about. Current Mark, he has some things going on, and he's going to start off by saying, this week, what are we working on? We are working on a preseason recap. I'm going to do my best to go over everything that I've done this entire season. In the preseason, we've had 6 weeks of content, 6 weeks of discussions. We're going to go over divisions and schedules, just to reiterate to everybody what those are about and what's going on with those. And then finally, we're going to get to the draft preview, which is probably why anybody is here, if anybody is indeed here watching. That's why you're here. You want to see what kind of nonsense I'm going to spew. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to spew nonsense at you. So, preseason recap, division recap, schedule recap, and then looking to the future with the draft preview. And yeah, got to go fast as always because this is I'm trying to keep this a tight 30 this year if I can. At least in the preseason. The regular season, I might go out to like 40 minutes or something, but for now, we're gonna keep it here. So the preseason recap, for those of you who did not know, or for those of you who keep asking in chat, Saturday, August the 24th at 8 p.m. EST, that is Eastern Standard Time, Eastern Summer Time. I'm gonna go with Eastern Summer Time probably. Because I can never remember what the difference between standard and daylight is. It doesn't make any sense. Uh, and the location is going to be at Malcolm's house. That's where the live draft is going to be. Now, don't worry if you are not able to make it live. You will be able to draft on Clicky Draft. So, for the people who are far away or people who are like Nick and decide that they don't want to show up to the draft because they're too cool, you guys can find the link in Slack to go to the Clicky Draft. There you can sign up for Clicky Draft. You can pick your team. Once you have your account, you'll be able to pick of the teams. They're all listed there in order by their names. I'm currently the owner of most of them. I think 10 at my last count. Now, if you're going to be there physically at the draft location, and Malcolm's going to be kind enough to set up some kind of a computer like we had at Tyler's house a few years ago, because Tyler did a really great job with this. Have it set up with a TV, and you walk up and you enter your draft picks. I can be logged into that computer, so don't worry about that. But if not, then I'll have to set somebody to be able to do draft picks for other people or something. We'll work it out later. But for the most part, if you're at Malcolm's, don't worry about it. It should be fine. If you aren't going to be at Malcolm's, please get the Clicky Draft link out of the chat in Slack and do that there. And for those of you who haven't been keeping up, the format will be a draft, just standard. We just do a snake draft, doop, 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 doop. There'll be no keepers from this year into next year or from the previous year into this year, and it will be hosted on Yahoo. We decided to move it over because ESPN has been slowly but surely making things worse on their fantasy website, trying to make it more user-friendly, make it look nicer, but all they've really been doing is making their product worse, in my opinion. So before it ends up becoming absolutely unsalvageable, we're going to jump ship and go to Yahoo and try that out for a year. We did it before. We ended up back at ESPN, but we'll see how it works out. And the incentives that we're decided on is $50 for the Fight for 50, $50 for the Eliminator, and $50 for the Roto League. And dues are owed by September 3rd, or penalties will start. For those of you who are wondering, that is 2 weeks away. So please do not be late. Do not make me have to chase people down. I don't want to have to be that guy. Especially when I start doing penalties of like, hey, you can't start a kicker this week. Because I don't want to have to be that guy, man. I don't want to be that guy. So that is the preseason recap. So now to go over what we did last week. Last week we talked about divisions, we talked about scheduling, a couple other things. So for divisions, we are basically keeping what we had last season. So Skullhouse is Jerry, Doug, and myself. Kathy's Kids, same exact division again. Malcolm, Matt S., and James. No Mercy is what I decided to change the name to because I don't know. It seemed a lot cooler. Because everybody seems to have these really familiar things going on. So that'll be Matt, Dave, and then Nick, who is the one change from last year because I think Steve was in that division, and I accidentally put Nick there, and people were like, yeah, sure, it's fine, keep Nick there. So, all right, fine, whatever. We're moving one person around at least. So Nick is now in No Mercy, and then on the Outsiders, Mike is with Steve, and the new guy, Sean. So welcome, Sean. Hopefully, I don't know who invited Sean to the league, but hopefully it was Mike or Steve. Because if not, that's going to be, it'll make it easy for the rivalry weeks, which I'm going to get into in a second. But yeah, not entirely sure. I forget how that ended up working out. Anyways, though, let's move on to scheduling. So we decided basically we're going to do rivalry weeks. People tend to like that. I don't know if I ever got like a surefire thing on like how do we want rivalry weeks to work. So I'm just executive decisioning it. We're gonna have it be the last 3 weeks. So the last 3 weeks of the season, you will play your divisional opponents. You'll play each of them once, and then you will also play a rivalry game against somebody not in your division. So please, 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 please let me know what non-divisional rivals you want to play. So, for example, if you are like, yeah, screw that guy, Malcolm, he's a real piece of trash. I'm gonna beat him up. Then you can go for that. I would really, really, really prefer if you could get these in before the draft. I don't think I can mandate that because some people are a little bit slower to send things to people. But please, 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 please try to get it in before the draft because I don't want people to look at the draft and say, this person has the weakest team. I'm going to be their rival. Because that's basically cheating. I mean, you're basically saying I want a very important game near the end of the season to be against somebody who has a bad draft class. Because that's just kind of that's a little bit dirty. That's playing a little dirty. So that is what we're doing with rivalry weeks, unless there's like a whole bunch of people who come out and chat later on and they're like, yeah, no, this is a garbage decision from a garbage commissioner, in which case I'll say, well, you should have spoken up earlier, but okay, whatever, I'll figure it out. So that is what was going on with scheduling. And now we are here in the 2019 draft. You already know the draft order, and I really wish that I had done this last week where I did this type of thing. But I kind of wanted to make a video this week because Jenna is getting her nails done tonight, so I was like, well, I have the house to myself. I can just make a video and just why not make a video, whatever. And I also needed to talk about like the rivalry weeks and just tell everybody once again, like, hey, this Saturday, very soon, also get your money in. Just kind of trying to drill that down into people. So the 2019 draft, and as it says, I will now cue the music. And the 2019 draft starts off with our first entrance to the arena. It is Glorious It is Mike. That is right. It is Mike. Mike is here, and he is last season's champion, and as it says, 2018 champion, as the Garbage Rocket finally managed to take off. It finally managed to do everything that we wanted it to for years now. And he did it with not garbage players, so maybe that's a thing that Mike can try to do in the future. He can try to look at teams, look at other players, and try to maybe pick up good players. And maybe, who knows, maybe 2019 he will be a repeat champion back-to-back years. But I doubt it. I feel like he might go back to his garbage rocket ways and throw together a ragtag group of scrappy no-names and find his way firmly in the top 5 of the league this year. So that was Mike. So who comes up after Mike? Does anybody remember? Does anyone ever who comes after Mike? That's right. It is ya boy Steve. And he will have his intro song, Somebody I Used to Know. And this is him singing to all the bus he drafted. 2018, it was Gurley, Olsen, and Crow, who he drafted, and all of them got hurt. And then in 2016, it was AP. It was AP, Doug Martin, and then Giovanni Bernard, who all, and not only were these 6 players all busts, but he also somehow managed to have them all be injuries. The guy just, and I think he had somebody else, like maybe Antonio Brown was injured in 2016. He just had some really bad luck, and yeah, so sorry Steve, but we're glad to have you back, and hopefully this season you won't be singing Somebody I Used to Know to your team. You'll be singing We Are the Champions to them. So thank you, Steve, for coming back. It's a good time to have you, but hopefully your future is a little bit brighter. And which moves us on to pick number 3. That's right. Dave. Dave, you kind of blow, dude. That's just the way that it works here, man. I'm not trying to be a hater or anything like that, but you have yet to finish a season over 500. But don't worry. Yes, you only had 1 win your first year. Then your second year you went 6-7 against pretty strong competition. It was a hard fought 6-7 for you. So this year, I'm calling it right now, you are having a junior year breakout. That's right, junior year breakout. You will go out and you are going to not only make the playoffs, I think you have a good shot of making a deep run this year. So don't be discouraged, Dave. You may have blown in the past, but you know what? Everyone has a redemption story. Everybody has a redemption arc that they get to go on. And I'm telling you right now, Dave, you will not blow this year. You will have quite the season this season. Which leads us, once again, into our next group. And that is everyone's favorite, Trade Nick. Voices in my head, they counsel me, they understand, they talk to me. And this song is perfect for Nick. Just perfect. Because how else do you explain how highly he rates a lot of his players, besides him having some crazy voices in his head that talk to him and understand him and say, yes, Nick, this guy that nobody wants, he's definitely worth a top 10 running back. You can get him, Nick. you can make that trade offer. And I know that's a little bit of a pot calling a kettle black, but that's fine. I'll be a kettle, he'll be a pot. Everyone's happy. But Nick, I'm just telling you, man, you gotta tone it down a little bit. But you're not called Trade Nick for nothing. You still make trades happen. You still work the system, and you still manage to do well. Hell, you were a champion once upon a time. Yeah, we're half a decade removed from it, and yeah, I think that season was that the season that we were actually on Yahoo last. So maybe you're gonna run it back to back, double Yahoo years. But hey, I don't really know how that's gonna work out. So yeah, so that's Nick for you. I mean, I honestly, I just, you know, and for them, many of you who may be noticing, maybe some of you not noticing, a lot of these songs may be intros for wrestlers, but hey, I think I think it works because they're very good songs for that. And yeah, Randy Orton and Trade Nick have a lot in common, most of which being that they're absolutely bats. So moving on, we get to the first one that was actually requested. That's right, somebody actually did send in one of their songs, and it was ya boy James with this little ditty. So sure, let's give it a listen.
It's a piece of cake to bake a pretty cake. If the way is hazy, you gotta do the cooking by the book. You know you can't be lazy. Never use a messy recipe. The cake will end up crazy.
Now I don't know what cake has to do with football, or what Little John has to do with it, or is it Little Jonathan? Whatever it is. But yeah, that's thank you, Mr. John. That was thank you very much for that. That was a good time. So yeah, so for James, as you can see, he's a very James type of guy, and he's honestly one of the best people in the league, just as a human being, because he is even-headed, super respectable, very respectable guy. Always is doing upstanding things for the league. Eventually, he is going to become a human meme, though. I feel like at a certain point, he's just going to transcend whatever he is now and just turn himself into an actual living meme. And it's wonderful that we have him in the league, and I do appreciate him 100%. So that is it for James, which brings us to number 6, which is a bit of a throwback with his song going way back to when he played in a band with his friend Peter Valentine. That's right, this is "Bangin' on a Trash Can," which a bit of a banger, if I do say. Yeah, he was sneaky good last year. I kind of shat on him for most of the season, basically saying, hey, dude's no good. He's not, doesn't have a lot of good players and stuff. But yet he managed to bring himself into the third place game decider, I believe it was. Maybe even the championship. I forget which way it ended up breaking for him. But he ended up making stuff happen. He just needs a little bit of help. And if the league is any indication, you can't win more than once. And we're running out of people who can have their first time victories. So Doug, this might very well be your season. So yeah. So hopefully you can make it happen. But if not, that's fine too. That is, if you don't win, that means I have a better chance of winning. So screw you, little. And now we make it into the number 7 guy, who is the new guy, Sean. And he is here to show the world. He's the new kid, and the only real advice I can give him is good luck. Good luck, because you're gonna need it. Yeah, because he's a new guy. He's a new guy to the league, and we've never had someone just walk into the league and really be greats. No one's ever really walked in and just been like, all right, cool, I'm going to win the league this year, but whatever. So I'm not having high hopes for him, but he has to understand this is a very competitive league. It's a very tough league. We're always talking to each other, whether it's shit talking or trade talking. So he's got to buckle in, strap in, and if he can survive a year or two in this league, damn, it's going to be a good time. But for now, best of luck to you, Sean. Uh, I think you're going to be a fun addition to the league. At least that's what I hope. So we'll see how it ends up working out. After number 7, we get to number 8, and number 8 is is good old Matt S. And Matt S gets a classic, absolute classic banger, straight out of Finland, which is his, because he used to be Finnish first for a few years, so I figured, why not Aiven Polka? No idea if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Love this song. And I feel like he's one of those guys who every single year, and I do mean every single year, he is always right there, right at the cusp of greatness. And then one thing goes wrong or something else, and he just kind of falls apart at the end of the season. And I think this is going to be his year, because every single year I look at his draft, and every single year I'm like, this guy, he figured it out this year, this is his year, and then the wheels come off at some point. Matt, this is your season, this is your year. You're going to beat your brothers, and you're going to end up winning the division, you're going to make the playoffs, and you're going to put a run together. No longer will this be the league where you are the guy who every year it's his year. This is actually your year, Matt. This is your year. You're the person I am calling to be the champion of the Horsehead League in 2019. Now, it may be a bold call. You haven't even done a draft yet. We don't even know anything about football at this point in the season. It's all speculation. But guess what? I'm speculating on you. Don't make me look like an idiot, because I already do that enough on my own. I don't need you helping. So let's move on then to number 9. And number 9, it's a good one, because it's me. That's right. It's your boy Mark, the actual 2019 champion. Let's hear it. Let's go. Come on, give it to me. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That feels good. That feels good. Get that music pumping for me. But I'm just throwing it out there. If you wanted to bet and you had some pattern recognition skills, maybe you can play a little fill in the blank down here with me. Let's go down. What do we have here at number 9? We have missed the playoffs because of my first season. Second season, I make the playoffs. Third season, I'm the freaking champion. That's right, I won the league. Now, let's do it all over again. I miss because I missed the playoffs that year. The next year, made the playoffs. That was last season. So what does that mean coming up next? What does that mean coming up next? No, Milk. Milk, you're the fat cooter, because it means I'm going to be the motherfucking champion. That's right. I'm going to be the champion. Y'all can hate. Y'all can do whatever you want. This is my season. It has been predestined. I have no other options than to win, because I am the best at drafting players, at trading players. I'm going to spend my fab money absolutely just perfectly, and even better, I got fate on my side, because that's what the pattern says. You can't break the wheel, Malcolm, because I am the wheel, and I am inevitable. I'm like Thanos if I was in Westeros. I'm Than-Westeros. That's right, I am the best. You can't beat me. Ain't happening. And you know what? I'm not going to say winner, I'll quit the league, because I put too much goddamn effort into this league over the last few years to quit because my fucking kicker put up 2 points and your kicker put up 20 in the championship. And because at that point I might just quit the league anyways. But yeah, no, that's not how I'm going out. I'm not going out in a league with fucking kickers, Malcolm. That ain't me. That ain't fucking happening. Anyways, so that is number 9. That is number 9. I know I'm gonna lose so many games because of fucking kickers this year. But that is it. That is me. That is number 9, and we can now move on to Mr. Big Brain, Jerry Brennan. Oh yeah, that's right. This guy, if you look at the league and you see all the different stuff, like you see like the beginning, it's like baby brain, that's like Malcolm right now, being a little baby brain with loving kickers and stuff like that. And then you get to big brain, and that's me. I'm sitting there with my big brain. I got all my ideas, all my thoughts. I'm doing good stuff with them. But then we get to Jerry. Jerry has got the freaking galaxy brain. That's what he's got going on. And I think, he could be the first ever double champ. And if he can keep himself together and he can make the trades and not get upset when I just absolutely do dumb shit with him for trade offers and stuff like that, if he can make it work this season, he can really put it together. Man, Jerry's going to be a tough one to beat, as always, because he's a really good player. Last season, ignore last season, he took like 3 weeks off before he had anyone really piloting his team. But this season is Jerry's. I think this is gonna be Jerry's season. And this song also has great advice. Don't try cocaine. I don't know what the hell the rest of the song is about, but don't try cocaine, boys. So, and in case you're wondering, if you ever see this song in a Twitch chat, in a Twitch stream, they'll tell you what the lyrics are here. It's a very memey song. It's a very memey song. And that brings us to Captain Swag himself, big dick swinging Malcolm, a.k.a. Milk, the 2015 champion and shit talker extraordinaire. I mean, can anybody say? Does anybody else bring the swag better than Malcolm does? Like, that's his thing. I mean, that's just how it works, man. I don't really have much else to say. He's Malcolm. Like, he was the guy who brought the belt into the world. Wore that bitch with confidence. So much confidence, he wasn't wearing anything else at the time. I had to get that thing disinfected before I put it on my own not wearingness areas. But yeah, no, he is... I don't know what else to say, man. He's Malcolm. He's the guy. And, yeah, guaranteeing right now, I know what he's going to start the draft with. He's either going to start with Chubb or OBJ and then take the other one on the other side. It's just that's how he's going to operate. That's how he is. He's going to have Njoku because nobody else in the league is going to want him, and he's going to love the value. Like, he's a Browns fan, and he's going to live or die with them. And you know what? That's fine because this is a good season to do that for him. So, Malcolm, I think I do know you, Malcolm. I think I do know you. But yeah, so this is what's going. So that's what's going on with him. Best of luck to Malcolm this season. I got my targets fixed on you, trying to get you for my rival, but we'll have to see how everything goes on with that. So that brings us to our final guy, and the only other person besides James actually suggests a song for themselves, and that's Matt M. And he did a great song. He picked a wonderful song for this. Alright, that's enough. That's enough of that. So, Matt M, not really doing the best as of late. He only made the playoffs once of the last 4 seasons, but he's another one of these guys who, when he looks at teams and looks to make his own team, there's a strict, very good correlation. He is the guy who is going to go in and, yeah, he's going to go after the Philly team. And you know what? If Wentz stays healthy and Alshon, after a year removed now, a whole entire season, he played a season last year. He's coming back from that injury that devastated him in 2017. He's got Ertz going on. He's got a lot of other players going on that are great for him. Matt M., again, this is one of those guys who, when I look at him in the past, may not have been the best, but this is another guy who can make a run this year. And I'm really going to be looking forward to see what Matt M. does this year. Not only in the draft, because I think it'll be cool to see how he builds his team, but with everything else that he's got going on. So that's it, really, for me for this week. I don't really have much else going on. But there is one other thing I wanted to do, and I forgot to do this before. I really did. What I really wanted to do is I wanted to go back, and I wanted to make a prediction on who everybody is going to take. Who is everybody going to take in the draft this year? And, that's not an easy thing to always pick because you have people who are really, really good and in this league, and they'll find people and they'll be like, oh, no. This is the guy that I want. I don't want the guy who everybody else thinks should go number 1 or number 2 or whatever. So let's take a look here at who I think is gonna go where. And honestly, let's just start off with Mike. I think that's pretty easy. I think he's just gonna lock down one of the best players in the league. He's gonna go and he's gonna take Saquon Barkley. I mean, I think it's just the safest bet. I think it's the easiest thing to do here. And I think he's just going to take Saquon and he's going to move on with his life. No real reason to try to get spicy with it and try to do something different, zig when everyone else is zagging. I think pretty easy pick here. He's going to take Saquon, which gets us to Steve. And Steve, again, it's just going to be chalk at this point. No one's going to go too crazy with it. He's going to go out and he's going to pick up Alvin Kamara. I think it's a good pick for him. I think it's going to make him very happy because he's one of those top 2 guys who I think are like really when you look at it, there's like Saquon and Kamara, and then from there on down you start even after that I think there's a tier after those top 2. But so I think Steve's going to be very confident starting off with Alvin Kamara. That brings us to Dave. Now Dave, he's going to be looking to be again, very safe, not going to really go crazy, not going to, do anything wild at this point. Just take your Christian McCaffrey and be happy with it. Again, I think these top 3, very, very well organized. I think number 1 is Saquon, 2 is Kamara, 3 is McCaffrey, and it's very easy to see that. This is when it starts to get interesting, and that's when we get to Nick. Now, Nick is going to be very upset. He is a Christian McCaffrey guy. He is going to be hunting for him immediately after the draft. You're going to be getting trade offers right away if you take him because he loves himself some Christian McCaffrey. But that being said, he's not on the board. So who is Nick going to take? I think because we still were a few weeks off, Nick is going to roll the dice and is going to go after Zeke. I think that it's kind of it's going to be a little bit tough. Yeah, I already did the music part. I'm just going over the who I think is going to be taking where part of the show. So 1 Barkley, 2 Kamara, 3 McCaffrey, and then Nick. I think he's going to play it safe. He's going to take Zeke, and he's going to say, "Okay, cool, I got my guy." Now, if Zeke comes out and there's some more drama going on, because there's been some drama lately with owners and agents and stuff like that. But if they end up saying, okay, whatever, this is definitely not looking good, he can go elsewhere. But I'm going to lock in with Zeke at number 4. At number 5 with James, see, this is when it gets interesting. I think James, he's going to go off book. He's going to go against a lot of people who think that this guy is not the one to take at this point. He's going to take Devontae Adams. That's right. He's going to be a homer. He's going to go out and he is going to grab himself the wide receiver in Green Bay. And you know what? Pat on the back for you for doing that, James. I think it's going to be interesting seeing you build a team starting off with him. But that's just the way it happens. That's the way it goes. So James, he's going to go ahead. He's going to grab himself Devontae Adams. Now that leaves Doug with somebody falling to him, and that person very well may be, if he wants, he can go with his namesake. Um, or well, maybe not his namesake, but David Johnson. Doug, David, they're close. If he wants to go that route, but I don't think he's going to go that route unless there's like a really big showing of that offensive line really working well together out in Arizona after this last week. They didn't really look great. So I think he's going to instead come back and go for somebody else, and he's going to end up picking, let's go with James Conner. I think he's going to look at him from last year, look at how well that team has done, that position has done, and that the player who's the number one running back has done. And I think Doug's he's gonna roll the dice and he's gonna go after James Conner. And that's honestly, it's a pretty good decision. It's zigging when you could have zagged type of thing. And starting off the running back is never bad, especially with there being so many question marks later on at that position. Number 7, we have Sean. Now I know nothing about Sean. So I think I'm just going to go with the safe pick, and I'm going to say he takes DeAndre Hopkins. I think he's just going to look at the draft board. He's going to see Hop there. He's going to see, okay, I can take a guy who a lot of people have in their top 6 on the board. I got him at 7. Going to have to make the move, pull the trigger. He's going to end up taking Hopkins. Now, again, this is a league where weird stuff happens all the time, and people don't end up getting the guys who they think people fall, and it's crazy in the first couple rounds. So maybe that's not how it's going to go. Maybe he's going to go somewhere else, but I'm going to go with him taking Hopkins there. Now this brings us on to Matt S. And I think that this is going to start a little run of wide receivers. Because at this point, you really, are you going to take Chubb? Are you going to take Mixon? Are you going to take Le'Veon? I don't think anyone's really willing to go that route at this point. I think they're all looking at wide receivers for now. So I think he's going to end up taking Julio, and he's going to have some fun with that. Which brings me to me, and at this point, I'm not really a fan of anybody left because all my favorite guys have been taken. So I'm probably just going to have to shrug and take Tyreek Hill. Hope to God that piece of human garbage ends up going to prison for the rest of his life for beating his child and his fiance and all the other things that he has allegedly done. If those things are found to be true, I have to say that because, legal stuff. But if those things end up being true, I hope that's what happens. If they're not true and it's some weird conspiracy against him or whatever the possibility is, then hopefully I don't regret taking him at number 11, or at number 9 rather, and he can be happily on my team. Then we get on to number 10, and I think Jerry is going to be a little on the upset side that he didn't end up getting Julio, but I think he's still going to be happy to end up getting Michael Thomas, because I think he sees that offense is going to be high-powered again, and even if you only get, most of the games in a dome for Drew Brees, that's still pretty good, and I think with the new contract, they're going to want to use Thomas a lot more, make him earn that money that he got. Then at number 11, we get to Malcolm, and I've already said this before. I think he takes OBJ here, and then coming back around the corner, he ends up taking Nick Chubb. I think that's pretty obvious for him, pretty good MO for him. He's just going to take the Browns guys right off the bat and try to do that, try to just have that team locked up for himself. And then finally we get to Matt M, and on the corner, at this point you're probably looking at maybe like a Juju and Mixon situation going on, but I'm not 100% sure on what he's going to be looking to do. So that's my prediction at this point. We're going to see how this ends up working out. Hopefully I'm not stuck taking Hill. Hopefully some of my people I like more fall to me. But for now, that is what I am looking at. And so that's pretty much it. So the call to action for this week, guys, please send me your rivals. just send it on Slack in a private message saying, these are the people I'm calling out, these are the people I want to fight, and hopefully next week I can have that set up in the, what's it called? The, whatever it is. I don't know. Have that thing all set up. The schedule. I'll have the schedule all set up next week. Jesus, why can't I remember that word? Um, and then next week I will have the draft review show. Um, and yeah, that's gonna be a good time. I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna call out people who make terrible draft picks. I'm gonna pat people on the back who do things that I like, and I'm probably gonna declare that I won the draft because I have all the players that I like the most. And that's just how it's gonna end up working out. Screw you guys. So see you guys next week. Thank you guys for stopping by. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks, guys. Bye bye.